Shalom Chaverim. Hello, beloved friends. We are all aching to be together in this moment as a community. And I invite you to imagine that you are here in this space with me and with friends and with loved ones, as I am also picturing you here in one large embrace of community. Reeling from the shocking events at the Capitol yesterday, I imagine that you have felt the merry-go-round of emotions that I've experienced since the moment I learned of the insurrection taking place in the Capitol. For me, the day was reminiscent of 9/11, with shock over the realization that it can happen here. Fear of further attacks to come, and anger at the individuals and the circumstances that brought this destruction about. Uncertainty provided the background to these emotions then, as today we wonder what new horrors might be perpetrated in the next 13 days. We ask, who is truly in charge and who can we trust? And finally, many of us are eager to know, what action can I take? Our people's historical memory and our ancient texts offer guidance in times of uncertainty and turmoil. Chorban, destruction, resides in the Jewish memory like glowing embers, reminders of temples burned to the ground, Jewish lives lost, and masses sent into exile. We cannot succumb to fear, but we must also be vigilant in recognizing the hatred that has been ignited over and over to become crusades, the Inquisition, the Nuremberg laws, and yes, the Shoah. And that is just the Jewish memory of hatred unleashed. And yet, Jews are survivors of survivors of survivors. The first story of our survival as a people begins with this week's portion, Shemot. The exodus from Egypt is a triumphant reminder of our capacity to resist, to cry out, to organize, and to achieve redemption. We recall this event in daily prayers and in the spectacle of the Passover Seder as we remember our great privilege and continue to fight to liberate all who are oppressed. Sadly, America is some distance from crossing the Red Sea and seeing the end of a Pharaoh. The darkness of this moment is akin to the night of the 10th plague in Egypt. Before the Israelites could reach the other shore of the sea and celebrate their freedom, they began their Passover meal in a night of hope and existential fear, knowing that the blood on their doorposts was the only barrier between them and the devastating death of the firstborn. They sheltered at home on the night of Passover, fearful and uncertain of the outcome. This is the pivotal moment of the Passover narrative, as it is now a pivotal moment in our country's history. How the Israelites came to that precipitous moment can teach us something about how our country has reached this watershed, a precarious place between destruction and redemption. In this moment, we would do well to read the first chapter of Exodus very carefully. As our upcoming bar mitzvah, Joshua Soppin, will teach us this Shabbat, the enslavement of the Israelites happened slowly, almost imperceptibly. In chapter 1, we learn that a new king arose over Egypt who did not know Joseph. Pharaoh dehumanizes an entire people, proclaiming, "Let us deal shrewdly with them so that they may not increase." The Egyptians make their life bitter with harsh labor. Pharaoh orders the murder of baby boys. And before they realize their plight and cry out, the Israelites become slaves to Pharaoh. Just as the violence that Pharaoh instigates culminates in violence against his own people, the violence of yesterday built on Charleston and Charlottesville and Pittsburgh and Lafayette Square and the unrelenting threats to civility and democracy and the rule of law that began during the election campaign as far back as 2015. And just as the destruction on the night of Passover preceded the Exodus itself, yesterday's insurrection came on the heels of the dramatic results of Georgia's special election and the impending inauguration of a new administration. Right now, we need to pay attention to what is happening, and even closer attention to how we respond. Americans who believe in democracy and in the rule of law must draw on all the best of our humanity to marginalize the destroyers. In our power, we must see that they are brought to justice. In our wisdom, we must come together and continue to build and rebuild our future. And in our humility, we must each determine as individuals which path we are best suited and prepared to take to make our contributions to that future. May the presence who guarded the Israelites on that terrifying night be with us, protect us, and shine a light to show the way forward as we cross the sea. Ken Yehi Ratzon, so may it be.